Yeah? Right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Yehudi Asamoah. I'm currently a speech and language therapy assistant. And today I want to talk about a little saving. But before I tell you a little saving, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So a little bit about me. I've worked in CLCH for just over 2.5 years. And over that time I've worked in a number of different roles, admin-based roles. And as a result of working in different roles, I've developed a keen passion in the business issues and the wider political pressure which affects the NHS. And so quite often, because I am quite interested in the wider NHS issues and how they affect all of us really, I'll just jump onto Google and I'll do a search, I'll type in NHS news and see what comes up. And I did so a few months ago, and I came across something I'd never heard of, and it was called the Nicholson Challenge. It was a challenge which has been posed to the NHS by Sir David Nicholson, who is Chief Exec of the NHS. And his challenge is for the NHS to find a saving of 15 to 20 billion pounds worth of savings for 2015. Which is a massive number, and I find it really interesting to think about how the wider issues can be connected to my own role. And so I started thinking about if there was any way in which I could contribute to these savings as a speech and language therapy assistant with no background in finance whatsoever. So I developed the idea for about 30 seconds and then I left it entirely, just left it. And then an opportunity kind of came to me, so it was a little opportunity. And what happened was I was at work, I was sending off a letter and the printer stopped working, and tried to fix it, tried to troubleshoot, and the printer wasn't working. So I got in touch with service desk, and it turned out that the printer was extremely old, and it was actually an obsolete model, so they couldn't change the parts or anything. So we needed a new printer. So we had a new printer ordered. It was working absolutely fine. And what happened then was, I think after about a week, we realised that we had loads of toner left from the old printer, which we couldn't do anything about. And I tried to see if we could recycle it. I tried to see if we could give it to another service, but we couldn't because it was obsolete. It was actually the only printer left in the trust. So just out of interest, during my lunch break, I went onto Google and I checked the price of the toner. I couldn't believe it. It was £1,200. I was like, oh my days. I just couldn't believe that, £1,200 for the toner. It's ridiculous. So I thought to myself, there must be something we can do about this. I can't let £1,200 slip away like that. There must be something we can do about it. So I actually got really passionate about it, and I thought, there's something that I can do about this. There has to be. So at this point, this is why I kind of used a little initiative, and I thought, it's worth a lot of money. We can't recycle it. We must be able to sell it somehow. So I've outlined the process here. I won't kind of enumerate each one individually. Scanned an invoice. I went through the old invoice folder. Found the audit was like from 2010 or something. Attached it to an email, sent it to a procurement manager, and he sent it to a supplies company, and they said they were willing to give us £480 for the toners, which I thought was reasonable given how old they were. So once I was informed that we had received an offer for £480, the buyer asked me whether I was willing to accept the offer, and I was like, this is kind of beyond my remit, so I'll have to talk to my office manager, to the business manager, and she said, it's absolutely fine, this is fantastic, we're going to save money, can be reinvested back into the service. I was like, great. So then this was the main bit of the project was this bit, acting as a communication port between the office manager, the buyer, finance, and courier, because everyone's really consumed in their roles, we're in a really demanding time, and everyone's really busy, so I kind of had to be that communication port and enable the whole thing to happen. So it wasn't very difficult as such. It was difficult to kind of manage everyone's demands while going about my day-to-day responsibilities. So the outcome, and I've made that really small on purpose, the outcome is that it resulted in a saving of £480, which isn't a particularly large amount. But the thing I kind of wanted to encourage is not necessarily the saving itself. What I want to accentuate isn't the saving itself. What I really want to emphasise is trying to develop a culture in which you think about how you can contribute to savings, even if you've got a seemingly unrelated or impertinent role, even if your role doesn't have anything to do with finance, thinking about how you can contribute to making that saving, because we're all in the NHS. So as a result, I conducted a thought experiment, and it's just if each office in the speech and language therapy, in children's speech and language therapy, let alone adults, so if each office in children's speech and language therapy received £240, for unusable toners, it would result in a saving of £4,320, and that's for children's speech and language therapy alone. There's adult speech and language therapy, there's a number of different departments, and actually, I've kind of been sharing this idea with managers who I've come across from other teams, and they've all said it's a problem. It's like, it's a problem. There seems to be a lot of toners just sitting around, so it's like a potential gold mine which has emerged from nothing. So very quickly, because I've got about a minute left. And what went really well was that I developed a relationship with CCS Media, which will facilitate future savings. So CCS Media were the buyer, and I said to them, if we've got toners which haven't been used, is it possible for us to sell them to you as an ongoing thing? And they said, yes, that's good. I managed to ensure that those savings are invested back into children's speech and language therapy, so that we're not going to be, when we're making our office orders, we're going to generate the income to raise our order from the money that's been saved here. So we've got more kind of autonomy and choice about what we order could be made a saving. What I would do differently, so there are two things I'd do differently, given the opportunity to do this again. The first would be to negotiate, to see if we can get more money for the toners, because and I'm not going to feel guilty about trying to get more money because it's going into public service funds anyway, so see if we can get more money for the toners, because they were worth 1,200 initially. Second thing I did was to organise a bit better and think about the role that every single person involved in the operation has to play, because there was an incident in which the courier came to our office about 3 times and they couldn't collect the toner because no one was around, and that's something I completely overlooked. So it's just looking at the little things and thinking about how every single person involved in the operation is going to have a role to play. So I want to leave you with a little quote by JFK, which is, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I've amended that slightly, the CLCH, and I've changed it to ask not what your NHS can do for you, ask what you can do for your NHS. Questions?
I've just got a comment. Fantastic presentation. But I found like with our service, when we've ordered things from procurement, I could find things cheaper, like way cheaper, like on Amazon or in Poundland. And considering we're meant to be saving money, I really think that in terms of cost saving, we need to do more around it, because if you can find something way cheaper and we're trying to save money, why is that not happening?
Yeah, completely agree.
And I think, I could definitely use a lot of those ideas, because I've had to get things from CCS Media all the time for like printer and projectors and things like this. But I think in terms of saving money, I think one of the difficulties that I have is actually dealing with our procurement department. Because everyone, I mean, if you actually go, I might be wrong in this, when you go to the 6th floor, wherever it is, they literally sit behind each other, and yet they'll ask us to kind of do their work for us. I'm like, this guy's sitting right behind you, you can just pass on the information. So I think one of the major problems within the whole finance umbrella is actually the communication part, because it takes ages for anything to get done. But I do think it's really good what you did, and you were able to kind of break a barrier and to kind of actually give us money back for the service. It's really good.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'm happy to email you the price as well. Yeah.
Have you been allowed to give any suggestions how the money you save will be implemented instead of it just kind of going into a black hole? I mean, is it something that you can actually say, this is what we can use it for?
Yeah, so the invoice was raised, the money has come directly back into the children's speech and language therapy account, and so as a team, I've kind of shared the process with the team, and I said, we've got this extra money, and my manager came to hear about it actually as well. And she said that, actually to give you a real concrete example of something that's emerged from that, kind of a knock-on effect, is that we often work in community settings, or we often work in schools, and we recently had some feedback over the summer in which people complained that we weren't visible enough. So now we're looking at getting uniforms, and the uniform's going to cost about £160, so we're able to justify that expense. We're able to make a stronger justification for that expense because we've saved money. We've used our initiative to save money. So.
I was just thinking, when we were talking about savings, because there's so much stuff we chuck away. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You've seen the eBay account. All the stuff goes into a pot. It's just, to me, there is so much waste. And I can't believe that you have, for me, I really just ignored that toner, but I can't you actually had the foresight and saw it through. You wouldn't have patience, so well done.
Can I just say something? It's a great idea. I did it in our department as well. I mean, we didn't get any money back, but we kind of published our newsletter, and then we received a lot of emails says, "Oh, can I have that toner because we got it?" Yeah. I would suggest if you come to the communication department and let them know what you've done it, that everybody is aware that if they see something that has been sitting down, no one is using it, publish it out to everybody because we are large, trust, and at the end someone will need something that you have it, that no one is using it, yeah?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.